Let's start in about 30 seconds. Oh, it's over there. All right, sorry, you can start whenever you're ready, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Christian, you can start your opening statement.
Hello, I'm Multiple Phillips' attorney, and today I'm here to share that James Cook was guilty during his third expedition. Our crime is wait, go back. Our crime of taking hostages, and so let's start this. So during James Cook's third expedition, he was guilty for taking war crime of taking hostages. One of the reasons that he wanted to start the action was one of the reasonable ways that described him for taking Kalani Lupu as a hostage is because during his third expedition he tried to prevent the Hawaiians from stealing the cutter vessels, in which we think that taking Kalani Lupu is unreasonable because he was the only one that genuinely showed respect to James Cook and his troops, and the scuffle during that time was unnecessary to me as a lawyer because this led to three consequences, which is he led 4 mariners in death, and also he led into starvation during the trip back to Europe. So these are the things that happened during the time, and as we can know that these actions weren't really necessary because James Cook shouldn't just take Kalani Lupu as a hostage and attack them. Attack the Hawaiians by using those cannons and those advanced weapons. These actions fit and match. This action fit and matched the crime of taking hostages. Thank you.
The defense can start your opening statement.
Oh, yeah, I got you up, sorry. You want to do this then? Oh, okay. I think it's not that. I'll pull the slide up first, sorry. I apologize, Your Honor.
Because his motive was only to prevent his mariner from taking Suka and to sell out stolen by Hawaii. It is a Hawaiian who stole James Cook from their coast and then started simply because of their greed and malicious intention. Originally, James Cook regarded the Hawaiian as his friend. He provides some precious metal tools, hoping they can use this to do processing instruments. He just hoped to contribute his part to the land of Hawaii. However, once he got it, return was betrayed. The Hawaiian didn't see them as friends, but enemies. They only wanted to get something from this European gold. To own a cargo, they call a renowned explorer who discovered To get the culture back, James Cook had no choice but to negotiate with King Kalaniʻau. However, during the negotiations, James Cook was killed by the brutal and unreasonable Hawaiian. James Cook is innocent while the Hawaiians were guilty of cowardly.
The prosecution, you can
Okay.
hand over.
Alright, one thing I want to mention about this is that the crime that fits James Cook's actions was the elements of the perpetrator seized, detained, or otherwise held hostage one or more persons. And the other point of the elements that is suitable is the perpetrator intended to compel a state, an international organization, a natural or legal person or a group of persons to act or refrain from acting as an explicit and implicit condition for the safety or the release of such person or persons.
Prosecution, please present your evidence.
So, Captain James Cook was the first European explorer and commander that had encountered the native Hawaiians. In his past 2 journeys, he and his crew members had discovered and established the continent of Australia, New Zealand, and South Georgia and South Sandwich Island for Great Britain. After his first 2 successful expeditions, Cook had determined to set his third and eventual expedition by sailing with steel ships, the Revolution and the Discovery, which then ultimately turned out to be a disastrous consequence. Due to some of his officers and journals, it had been framed and described of James Cook's vicious behavior and condemnation not only towards the Hawaiian civilians but also his crewmen. For example, during his command, all of his crew members were ordered to slaughter and massacre the native Hawaiians by firing damaging cannons towards the innocent mobs. Furthermore, these brutal actions were all recorded in the journals, such as burning towns and sinking canals or other valuable property that originally belonged to the islanders during the Tatani visit in 1777. After the visit, Cook and his troops finally searched for the Northern Passage, which later led them to discover the Hawaiian territories in 1778. Soon after their arrival, they were initially being attacked by some resentful Hawaiians, but eventually the Hawaiian ruler Kalaniʻau resolved the conflict by falling into Cook's deception as a god. And this is one of the reasons why he said that the scuffle was unnecessary because Kalaniʻau actually did help James Cook and his troops to solve the problem. Thus, this led Kalaniʻau to friendly and provide an abundant amount of island food resources to the Europeans. Even though the Hawaiians received nothing in return for these resources, Cook still demanded more. This is justification for war crime of taking hostages. The natives received nothing in return for their work. In February 4th, 1779, after James Cook and his crews left the Kalaula Bay, the Hawaiians were dismayed by the rapaciousness of the Europeans for rapidly stealing many food and supplies from the Kalaula Island. the Hawaiians soon realized that they were being deluded by James Cook for treating them as a god. Therefore, this had made the Hawaiians disrespectful of the Europeans. During the conflict, James had brought his other troops back to Kalaula Bay and kidnapped the Kalaniʻu at midnight. Taking a person against their will and holding them hostage is unreasonable. And Kalaniʻu later died under Cook's care is another justification of war crime of taking hostages. Eventually, after Kalaniʻu's death, Cook and his other four mariners were then stabbed by the Hawaiian mobs. Thus, Cook's death had unfortunately influenced more English massacre an additional 30 harmless natives.
The prosecution witness, please state your name.
Okay, what?
You sit down.
My name is Molesworth Phillips.
So the prosecution attorney, please start your question.
Who are you and what's your connection to Captain James?
My name is Molesworth Phillips, and I was on a resolution with Captain James Cook on his expedition to Trinidad, looking for the West Africa.
What kind of person was he?
Cook was a very hot-headed person, and he always was very mean to us, and he always made bad decisions, irrational choices, and he always did his actions first before he thought about them carefully. But he was very smart, and he was a good map maker, and even his enemies respected him.
What in Cook's group of British explorers decided to head back to Kalaniʻu Bay after the war was passed?
We decided to go back because there was a storm on the Resolution that broke part of the ship, and we had to go back to repair the ship.
What was Captain Cook's reason for taking Chief Kalaniʻu as hostage?
So while we were repairing the Resolution, a group of native Hawaiians decided to take one of our cutter vessels. So Captain James Cook thought that it'd be a good idea to take Chief Kalaniʻu hostage in order to exchange for the cutter vessel.
What did Cook's believe taking Chief Kalaniʻu as hostage?
Captain Cook believed that if we took Chief Kalaniʻu hostage, then they would give us our cutter vessel back.
What happened after you took Chief Kalaniʻu as hostage?
After we took Chief Kalaniʻu hostage, the Hawaiians just came at us because they thought we were going to kill him. So they attacked us, and then Captain Cook was stabbed by one of the knives that he gave one of the natives, and then they stoned him to death on Kalakaua Bay, face down, and then there was a big fight, and I was there.
Defense, you can start your cross-examination.
Do you have ever book like this?
Yeah, he always, when we made food for him, he always ate the best parts and then gave us the worst parts. And he always slept in the best beds, and then we slept on wood and rock, like wood, and then he's always like, so stubborn.
Why didn't you accept your leader if you joined the transportation? Why didn't you accept your leader if you joined transportation?
Because Cook was too far away, and too many Hawaiians came and he was dead before. So he was gone. He's just there.
You should have
point, you please speak louder.
You should have stronger weapon like Hawaiian. Why didn't you do it?
Well, there were too many of them, and also we used up most of our weapons, and like we didn't know where to hit, and there was just too many people, and we were overwhelmed. We had to protect ourselves too. So
Do you know he was trying to protect your property?
who was?
James Cook.
Yeah, I know, because he's our captain. So yeah.
Do you know why is the culture so important to James?
Well, it wasn't that important, like a life, but I told you he's kind of stubborn and really hot-headed, and he didn't think before he did his actions, so that's why he made like a bad decision. So.
You can hand out your evidence and present your evidence.
James Cook is indicted by the worst crime of taking hostage. But I'm here to convince that you are completely wrong. The argument is one-sided and full of error. First, the prosecutor argued that he took Hana Abu as a hostage, but they failed to acknowledge that the natives were wrong first for provoking James Cook by stealing their cutters. It is clear that Captain James and his crew had decided to leave the island on February 4, 1779, and had no intention of destroying the relationship with the natives. They had only returned because of a strong gale had forced them to return to the land to repair their ship. Therefore, you should see it too that Captain James could have no motive to take Hana Abu as a hostage, and had not felt that his life and his crew's life was seriously threatened by the natives. As most people know, Captain James Cook is a benevolent explorer who not had only discovered the world, but also drew the map. He even provided the first accurate map of the Pacific. His voyage to Hawaii was only for exploration. And the second evidence, he took the Hana Abu as a hostage for a low reason. It is because the native Hawaiian stole James Cook's supply and tools such as small counter vessel. If the Hawaiian wanted to indict James Cook, then they should first explain why they took their supplies and tools such as small counter vessel. And more importantly, I believe you will agree with me that the natives, on the other hand, were acting hostile toward Captain James Cook and his crew when they returned to shore after a dangerous storm. Their action of willfully stealing their boats and cotton demonstrated their ill intention of wanting to harm Captain James Cook and his team. According to the law today, the natives should be indicted for a crime of appropriation of property. Third, James Cook was only acting based on the rational decision to protect himself, his British crew, and their properties, which belong to Britain. Given the hostile environment of the native people and the outrageous action of seizing their properties, James Cook's action was justified to ensure the safety of his people and their property. James Cook was only a visitor to the island, and it was an act of deliberate cruelty to stab and kill him. One prominent point to note, Captain James Cook did not harm or kill the chief. He only took him as a hostage to demand the property to be returned, which is defending the right of his people. His only intention was to get his tool and supply back, and not to kill or harm as the natives did. He had no offense against the Hawaiian. According to the testimony of Milos Phillips, provided by the prosecutor team, James Cook was a terrible captain. His statement consisted of personal subjective opinion with strong words such as "I hate James Cook." However, I have evidence that proves that Captain James Cook was a nice and kindness captain because when his crew got a disease that could cause them death, he fed him the watercress, saffron, and orange extract, and the crew survived at the end. According to the evidence, Kanai struck Captain James Cook's head with near mano, and as he tried to get out, Noah stabbed him with a metal daggers, killing James Cook while the chief is unharmed. Therefore, the natives of Hawaii is guilty by the war crime of overcalling because they can kill one or more person, and it's a fight associated with international armed conflict. In conclusion, I would like to make clear once again that James Cook was a kind British naval captain, because he did not kill the Hawaiians king. And on the other hand, the Hawaiians was very ruthless. They failed to consider the relationship between the two countries before they fight, and what James Cook has accomplished for all the Hawaiians. They intentionally stabbed and killed Captain James Cook on February 14, 1779, and causing him death.
The prosecution, you can start your ending statement.
We accuse James Cook with war crime of taking hostage. Because in February 4, 1779, James Cook and his crew member left the Kealakekua Bay till finding the Northwest Passage. But during their journey, one of their ship's Resolution was damaged by storm, so they have to come back to Kealakekua Bay for the repair. But one of the cargo vessels was stolen by the native Hawaiian. So, in hopes of the return of the cargo vessel, James Cook took the chief Kaneopu as hostage. But this is immature and uncivilized, because he took the leader of good people, that the same people who welcomed them to their island and let them stay until they got. And they also used advanced and pernicious weapons to the native Hawaiians. So imagine a stranger came into your house and you let them stay and give everything they want. But suddenly the stranger can't leave, so it's not acceptable or even civilized. So, jury, please make the right choice. Thank you.
You can start your ending statement.
In conclusion, I strongly believe that James Cook shouldn't be indicted of the war crime of taking hostage. He had helped the Hawaiians to draw the map, and which is an act of kindness and goodwill to the people of Hawaii. If James Cook had not drawn the map of Hawaii, we would not know Hawaii now. And the truth is, he only took the Hawaiian chief with them to ensure their safety and to demand their stronghold to be returned after the hostile action by the natives. Once again, I want to stress that he had not harmed the chief. He understands and has respect the relationship between Hawaiian and British. However, the Hawaiians did not respect the British representative in the island. Instead, they stole their property and acted volatile against the British. According to the witness of the prosecuted teams, they say he is a terrible captain and he hates James Cook. However, our evidence shows that he is a nice kindness captain because he fed his crew watercress, saffron, and orange extract, and they survived. As a result, I asked the court to indict the Hawaiians who had killed the greatest explorer in the world. And now, if you still want to indict James Cook of the war crime of taking hostage, then you should first indict the Hawaiians for a crime of appropriation of property. You should also be aware of the map he had drawn for Hawaii. And which wouldn't have existed if James Cook did not go to Hawaii. No one will have discovered it. Again, James Cook shouldn't be indicted of the war crime of taking hostage. And instead, the natives of Hawaii should be indicted by the war crime of willful calling and the crime and the crime of appropriation of property.
Okay, so so today's the trial is over. Thank you for the jury and the defense as well as the prosecution.
Do you guys want to review the evidence now?